Ahoy, this is Zdenka. You may have seen many B-roll tutorials on this channel already, but if you want to step up your game, filming a short film as a one-person crew is certainly challenging, but it is highly rewarding. So in today's video, let me take you behind the scenes and let's go through tips for filming a short film with a smartphone. I'll play the final piece at the end of this video. This video is sponsored by Epidemic Sound. Now we're gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna be walking there. So if you can get yourself there, please. What type of short film are you going to create? Travel film, documentary, music, horror, narrative, unscripted? There is always a written story first, which you will turn into a visual story. Typically, stories start with introducing characters, then there is an action, and at the end is where something is resolved or there is a message. In my case, I started with music. All I knew is that I'm going to be filming in a winter, in a snowy scene, so I wanted something a bit dreamy. I thought it's going to be very easy to come up with a story. Well, I failed there. Nothing. So I sent all the information and music to my family and friends. When you're going to be planning a short film, always take in consideration your budget, how much money you have to spend, so you don't end up writing a story which you cannot even afford to film. For example, don't pick expensive locations if you know that you cannot really afford it. Well, 24 hours later, I had an amazing story written by Frank Cairns. You've seen him on this channel before. I was taking you to their amazing shop. When you get stuck, don't be afraid to reach out to other people. You might be very pleasantly surprised. I'll have you stand as you're standing right here. Turn facing that way. All right, I just gotta figure it out now. Once you have your story or notes written down, it's time to choose your actors if you're gonna be using them for your short film. You might have a great story, but what will make your story to really come alive are those actors and their performances. My story was very simple in terms of acting, so I was more after specific look. I knew I would be using Natalie. Yes, she's been featured on this channel many times. At first, I didn't plan on using anyone else, but then Frank thought that it would be cool for her to see a younger version of herself as a child. Luckily, I have Martina around, which coincidentally looks quite similar. The only challenge I had to deal with was the height. Well, she's not exactly short. Let's talk about the budget a little bit more. You can make it extremely cheap when you only need few things, or you can make it very expensive. Of course, you want to have a great location, you want to have great props, you want your actors to wear specific wardrobe in a color so it's complementing the whole scene. The more you pay attention to the details, it's gonna look more polished. Again, it's something you need to think about when you're writing the story. Okay, the other way, the other way. My budget was non-existent, so I did my best to keep it really low. I only was shopping in stores which are not expensive. We had some wardrobe pieces already, but we didn't have many things like the coat and the jacket, the hats, the gloves, the scarf, and also the plush toy. The plush toy was a very important element of the story. That's why it is in such a loud color. I didn't want the outfits to look way too similar, but I wanted complementary colors, so when you put it all together, it looks good in those locations. There's one more thing you should do before you start filming, and that will be sketching each scene or each shot, or making decisions on the angles you're going to shoot, or you might go with a flow. If you're going to be filming a documentary or travel film, you will most likely go with the flow. What did I do? I had some shots written down, the rest was created on the spot. We had some problems with the weather. This winter here in Canada was super cold, and also we had trouble with schedule. The more people you will need in your short film, keep in mind it's gonna be quite difficult to schedule everything when everyone is available. 1, 2, 3. I was hoping for steady light throughout the whole short film, but I ended up with some scenes filmed on an overcast day and some scenes filmed on a sunny day. But there was snow in all scenes on the ground and the lake was frozen. That's important. Something you need to keep in mind. Actually, quite recently, I was watching a film also filmed in winter on Netflix. And I noticed that they were dealing with exactly the same thing. Some of the shots were done clearly on sunny day and other shots were done clearly on overcast day. Before you start filming, have your actors rehearse the scene, do the blocking, and decide at that moment what angles you are gonna be filming. Pay attention to lighting so you don't have overexposed or underexposed areas. It is way better to fix it on the spot because it's a little bit more difficult to correct it in a post. 1, 2, 3. Don't just film one shot or one take and move on. You might think you got it, but it is way better to have, just in case, 3 or 4 good shots. Since we were dealing with very cold weather, especially when I was filming Martina alone, and I think it was about -8 and quite windy, I was obviously trying to work fast. I had the shots, but once I started editing, I wish I had extra shots. I've made some mistakes, like camera movement and focusing. I like to share my mistakes with you so you guys can learn from them. It is very different to film location B-roll versus filming actors. You can't rush it. You really need to think it through. There are so many things you need to think about, like a framing, composition, position, lighting, and focus. It's very different. I really encourage everybody to try something like this, some short film, because you will learn so much from actual hands-on experience. If you are not going to be filming alone and you have someone on the set, have them help out by watching hair, makeup, wardrobe, or items which are not supposed to be in a shot, because you cannot do everything. You cannot keep an eye on everything. You'll be so busy just with camera movements, framing, and all that. You don't want to have ear sticking out of long hair or some object like me having a phone in the bottom left corner of the shot. Luckily, I was able to get rid of it in a post. Well, it can happen. I was reviewing the clip on the spot, but I paid attention to other things and I simply overlooked it. Second pair of eyes will certainly help. Let's say you have all scenes filmed. Are you gonna play only the music with the short film? Do you want some sound effects? Do you want even a voiceover? These are all creative choices you need to make, and that will actually elevate your film further. I only wanted music at first because I wanted just the visual and the music to stand out. But then I realized that adding some very minor, subtle sound effects can really help. At one point, I even thought about doing a voiceover by Natalie just saying a story, but then I scraped it off. I decided to only leave it as it is. I get asked quite often in comments where I get the music and sound effects like the footsteps in the snow or wind. I get everything from Epidemic Sound, which is also a sponsor of today's video. I have used them for a number of years. Their library is massive and they get fresh music all the time. They own 100% of their music, so you don't have to worry that you'll receive a copyright strike or takedown. You can use it on social media such as Facebook and Instagram, and also on monetized YouTube channels. What makes them unique is the fact that you can download not only full songs, but also separate stems. You can choose between personal and commercial plans. If you sign up with Epidemic Sound by using my link below the video in a video description, you will receive a free 1-month trial. You will also find a discount code for 50% off if you sign up for an annual subscription for the personal plan. Any music you will use during the trial will remain safe and protected, even if you cancel your subscription after your trial month is over. Thank you very much, Epidemic Sound, for making this video possible. Let's talk about editing. I found that filming was 30% of the task, 70% of the task was video editing. It is best to set time limit and perhaps boundaries when it comes to video editing, because at first you can have a simple edit and then you decide to add on transitions and color grading and overlays and maybe more special effects. You can easily spend days, weeks, and months. That was me. One of the most frequently asked questions I receive is, how is your editing workflow? Well, at first I transfer all the files from my smartphone via cable to my laptop. Then I get very frustrated because all the file names are not in order. They have these crazy file names and I have to actually look for the clips. Then I create proxies and place the clips in rough order. You may have a story written on the paper, but many times the story will change in the post once you start editing and it starts to shape itself out. And that was my case as well. First of all, the music is short, it's under 2 minutes, and then I had to place certain action movements where the melody was changing for a visual effect. But when I was looking at it over, sometimes I had to switch the clips because it was just making more sense and the story was better that way. I always save a copy of edit in Adobe Premiere Pro just in case something goes wrong. You may have shot in-camera transitions already, so that will be straightforward. You can also option for adding transitions in post if you want them. I didn't want too many transitions, only a few, as it is a simple story with simple visual. Fancy transitions would not be the right fit. I did very basic ones. Color grading can pull the whole thing together or completely break apart. Since I had majority of the footage from smartphone mixed with some drone shots, I had to match them in the post. I usually start first with selecting correct white balance and then I play with separate colors. And I admit that I tried a few different looks before I really settled on what I like. What is left to do is to prepare a closing credits. It is a team effort and your team members will love to see their name there. So here's my little project. It's quite a special one for us because it's the first one where it's involving family and friends, close friends. A great memory to have. If you liked today's video, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe for more. If you have any questions, comments, want to send greetings or special requests, leave it below. And I'll see you, my friends, in the next video. Ciao, ahoj!